Hello there, and welcome to round 10 of Global Formula Automobilista Season 2 90s edition here at the Australian Grand Prix, where, well, title could be decided today, but not for our driver on pole. Sebastian Vettel for Harvey Racing sticks on pole for the first time in his career. Chris Hoy takes second for DTK Racing, winner of the last round of Japanese Grand Prix out of absolutely nowhere. Gilles Villeneuve takes third for Rivera, ahead of Sterling Moss in fourth place and Chip Clark in fifth. Championship leader Lewis Hamilton on 119 points with 41 points available. Can he win the title here, or will it roll on to the next round at the Automobilista Grand Prix? Stefan Beloff is in seventh, ahead of Valentino Rossi and Manuel Fangio, who scored his joint best result in the last round as well. Taki Inoue, he's 10 places behind Hamilton. He needs to make sure that Hamilton doesn't outscore him by 11 points or more, because that's where the title is going to be won. David Brabham is 11th for Polestar, ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa in 12th place. Bertrand Gachot takes 13th. He is just too far away from the championship challenge. Yeah, he cannot win the title. He could get up to second if everything goes his way. Flörsch is in 14th, ahead of Dan Gurney for an improved Excelsior. Phil Hill and Kamui Kobayashi ahead of Jenson Button and Max Verstappen. Senna takes 20th. Watson is 21st ahead of Hakkinen. 2KF1 both managed to get double points in the last round, which was fantastic for them. They've had double points in the last two rounds. It's their home race. What can they do? Michael Schumacher in 23rd. Damon Hill and Nigel Mansell for the non-upgraded Jaws. The team seems to have been forgotten about the last few rounds. And Sergio Perez. Nick Heidfeld, the only other driver apart from the Cats who can win the title, he had a crash in qualifying with Alain Prost, meaning neither of them set a lap time. So Heidfeld's got to do it from the back, ahead of Prost, who finished second last time out. Well, the drivers are lining up on the grid as we get ready for the Australian Grand Prix, back here at Adelaide. As they all line up. Here we go. Revs rise, lights come on, two lights, and they're out and we go. Hoy gets a bad start, as actually Villeneuve's got an absolute fly, setting up the inside of Vettel in turn 1. Side by side between Hoy and Villeneuve, got some air in the back and Beloff has hit the wall. And we've got cars flying everywhere here. They've all made it through the first section of the corner. That's Inoue, Fangio and Rossi side by side. Through turn 4. They all get it through. So Vettel still leads as they head down into the fast chicane. That's Hill from Hoy, from Moss, from Clark, from Villeneuve. Hamilton 6th and Beloff in 7th. Inoue's made up 2 positions on Fangio and Brabham. Rossi's lost a load of place and Felix da Costa's back where he was. We've got a car out in the background. 28, who is it? It's Heidfeld! Heidfeld's had a spin, he's got it going, he's not out. But something cruel and ironic has happened to him through the chicane. So we're side by side with Hakkinen. Don't take her. Oh, he's just clipped Hakkinen, run over the exit curb and got it a bit stuck. Has eventually got going though, so that's something. As that's Chris Hoy! Hoy up the inside, into the hairpin. Through Brewery Corner. Hoy's sat in the slipstream of Vettel. As that's Beloff under pressure, actually pressuring Hamilton in the background. But Hoy up the inside of Vettel. The DTK driver takes the lead of the race. As yes, Beloff has passed Hamilton, and now Taki Inoue is right with his championship rival and teammate. Cash Racing, of course, are already the Constructors' champions, so this is just for the driver's title now. And seeing as their only other rival has just chucked it off the road in the first lap, they've got plenty of time to just duke it out between themselves. A gap appearing between Kobayashi and Felix da Costa in 12th and 13th. Otherwise everyone else is a nice big train apart from Heidfeld, of course. And there we go, the Vettel, Moss and Clark leading us through this triple chicane of 90-degree corners. As we head on towards the Jones Straight, Chris Hoyer's gapped Vettel quite considerably already, and I don't think Vettel's going to be able to get up close to the Hoyers. In fact, I think it's Moss on Vettel is going to be the move here. Moss going up the inside of Sebastian Vettel into the hairpin. Moss up to second place, so he's now going to be the one chasing Chris Hoy, challenging him for the race win. As they finish lap 2, so 1.2 second lead for Chris Hoy over Sterling Moss in second. Vettel now is going to try and challenge Moss, but really he's got to worry about Jim Clark behind, getting closer. Villeneuve and Beloff, the teammates for Bravera, challenging in 5th and 6th. Team looking for a win. They've had 3 podiums, or 3 races on the podium so far, so relatively successful championship for Bravera so far. They're 1 point behind Polestar, the home team, in the battle for 3rd place, and only 6 points behind High-Tech. So, in fact, yes, there's 4 teams within 9 points of each other are battling for 2nd in the Constructors' Championship, so this is going to be intense. Beloff there has had a really awful time through the brewery corner, as Jim Clark now is the one having a go at Vettel. He pulls to the inside, he's got the move done, and Inoue is up the inside of Hamilton as well. So Taki Inoue gets past the championship rival, he's got points to make up, and as it stands, of course, now Inoue is closing down the gap at the top of the championship. Kobayashi is nearly 3 seconds behind Felix da Costa. For a team that's challenging for championships, that's not the kind of pace you want your driver to be doing, as he's actually holding up Dan Gurney. Gasher there is out the points, and that's not what the team need to be seeing. Phil Hill's had an awful start and dropped down a few places, as Prost is up to 22nd. A good driving there by Prost, as Nick Heidfeld has finally caught up to the back of this pack, and he's battling Mansell into turn 1. He's got the outside line for the chicane, and he turns in, and Mansell leaves him space. He obviously knows that this isn't a battle he's going to win. So Heidfeld up to 22nd after his off-track moment. Back to where he started the race. This is going to be a long and painful afternoon for Heidfeld. Head down the back for Jones Straight through a brewery corner. Phil Hill up the inside of Senna. I think he's just ruined it for both of them, and Button behind, although Hill is streaking up behind Senna. Excelsior finally, for the first time in their history, managed to get an upgrade for their downforce, although I don't think Hill's quite used to it yet. He tried to brake later, and he's braked far too late. He's had an awful line there. And now they're all getting in each other's way. So John Watson up to 17th now, although there's an enormous gap. Actually, has somebody gone off? Yeah, oh no, Mansell's just miles behind. I was going the wrong way. Heidfeld's got past Perez. Yeah, that time lost has really allowed this gap to form. Because Gasho he's down 5 places off the start of his team's home Grand Prix. His race here last year as one of the brand new teams was incredible. It was one of the drives of the season. And now his championship challenge having faded away, it's as if him and the team have given up. They've not made any upgrades for a few races now, and it's starting to show. Hill sat in the slipstream here as Senna. Tried to pull out, but lost the slipstream and gave up. Now Button and Prost getting really close behind. Verstappen is already in no man's land as Flörsch has caught back up to Gurney. See what we can do on Kobayashi. At least the cost of Brabham being the only one really going for it for Polestar. Inoue is stuck behind Beloff, although Vettel is now fallen behind Gilles Villeneuve, so pole sitter is slowly falling back down the pack. Well, I say slowly, it's quite quickly. It's lap 5, only 5 laps been completed, so we've lost 4 places, so it's a pretty considerable slip. The top 15 to split, that's 2-second lead Chris Hoy's got over Sterling Moss, who's got a second back to Clark. He's got a further 1.5 to Villeneuve. Vettel now back in the slipstream of Villeneuve. Can he get past, or will he get past? The answer is nothing changed down the straight that time. Gurney, Flörsch, Kobayashi, they're really close. Flörsch takes a late move up the inside of Dan Gurney, and the German makes the move on the American. And this has brought Max Verstappen into this fight as Chris Hoy sets another fastest lap. There's been a bit of shuffling. No, there hasn't. They're all in the same place. Heidfeld has now joined this queue and is certainly looking to get going as soon as he can. That's the camera after. Seeing as he's looking quite flawless at the moment, let's just ride on board with Chris Hoy for a lap of this circuit. Now middle sector. The slower corners as we head down towards the brewery corner. I think that big thing with Mitsubishi on the back is the brewery, which is where the name comes from. You can see why. Down the Brabham Straight. Fantastic long wide piece of track this into a super tight hairpin. Perfect overtaking spot as pretty much everybody has shown. Through the left-handers as we re-enter into the park. Last couple of corners into the Foster's hairpin. Foster's Australian beer that Australians don't seem to drink and just let the foreigners have it and make them think they're being Australian. So, there you go. Having done the centre chicane into a Wakefield corner. Down East Terrace, a nice little corner onto Flinders Street. And then the X90 right, and onto Hutt Street and back to where we first started watching Hoy on board. Clark is closing the gap to Hoy, it's to Moss even, it's now 7 tenths. As Vettel is falling away from Villeneuve and Beloff is starting to get a bit itchy. Inoue is keeping up, but Hamilton's just dropping back a tiny bit. Fangio, Rossi and Brabham are sticking with them. Felix da Costa's kind of fallen away from this pack, but Flörsch has now got past Kobayashi. I think we'll flick up here because, yep, Taki Inoue is having a go of Stefan Beloff. Into the hairpin, up the inside. We've seen it so many times now. The inside line into that hairpin is pretty much guaranteed that you won this, because you can just take the line on the inside, run them wide onto the exit curb, and they're not fighting back. So Inoue up to 6th. Hamilton now 2 places back in 8th. This is all quite handy for the championship. As it stands, he's only closing in 2 points, but 2 points closed better than 2 points lost. Hamilton staring at the back of his teammate going, what do I need to do here? I think we'll go back because Dan Gurney is right on the tail of Kobayashi again and Verstappen's joining in the fun. But through this section of corner there's not going to be much. We will head further forwards here. Clark's got a great exit on Sterling Moss. He's closing up. He's now in the slipstream. Straight's not going to be long enough. It's going to have to be an absolute send, which probably means brake failure if you wanted to make that move. But it wasn't going to happen. There you go. Let's see. Beloff is in Inoue's slipstream and Hamilton really isn't. Actually, he's run a little bit wide under pressure there from Fangio. Gurney there, up the inside is actually, with 3 wide, Max Verstappen gets past the pair of them. Verstappen at the inside, Gurney's going to fight it back, and there's contact as we enter back into the park. Verstappen is up to 14th, and he's the one who's made the place. So epic move there from Verstappen. We'll go and get a replay. Might try and get it from the helicopter if I can work out which camera. There we go. So Verstappen's got an absolute world. He's actually hit Gurney, who's been forced then to go up the inside of Kobayashi, and Kobayashi's been like, oh hang on, there's one, oh hang on, there's 2. Gurney's tried to fight it back, but it wasn't going to happen. So pretty epic move there from Verstappen up to 14th. Gasho's fallen back again as Button is stuck in 21st. Prost has made his way up to 22nd and Heidfeld now 23rd. So these two trying to work their way up from the back. Hakkinen falling away. Hill, Perez, Schumacher and Mansell are just dropping. Mansell's going to be lapped too, if he's not careful, pretty soon. Short circuit, of course, not that long in terms of length, so 81 laps is what the drivers will be asked to complete. So Inoue is now past Vettel, so Inoue is up into 5th. And Hamilton's been passed by Fangio. So we'll just see if either of them happen this lap. Yeah, so Inoue's got past Vettel. This is going to be up the inside into the hairpin, super easy. Fangio exactly the same, so again, 1 making up positions, that's 11 points now for Inoue, and 1 losing, so 7 points for Hamilton, so 4 points is the difference now, which will bring it down to 6 in the championship with 21 to go when we get to the last round in Curitiba. So, Vettel, at least I suppose the Cup has already scored a point this weekend. After putting it on pole, but his race pace has been absolutely no way. He's just going to have to hope that he can make sure he stays in the points and let attrition and squeaky bum time take everyone else out. Because it's not looking good for him otherwise. Clark is still struggling to get past Moss. Red Knight, of course, they've still only had that 1 podium at the French Grand Prix for Sterling Moss. They've been in positions to do it. They were pole last time out, but unluckiness has ruined it for them a few times. And here we go, as Clark's thinking about a move into the hairpin, but Moss comes him off, and Clark thinks, I don't need to do anything stupid yet. Beloff is now past Vettel, so Vettel down to 7th now on lap 10. So really struggling. Fangio's got 1.7 seconds. He's got a few laps before he gets caught up, but it's not going well. Hamilton's not keeping up with Fangio. He's actually fallen closer to Rossi. Yeah, Rossi's definitely closer. Bram and Felix Costa trying to stay with this pack. Flörsch has completely dropped Verstappen, Gurney and Kobayashi. It's actually John Watson's trying to join in this fight. Phil Hill has left Gasho and everyone else behind. Senna, Button, Prost, Heidfeld try and work out how they can go quicker. The answer is try and get past, but they're struggling to overtake that Falcon. 4 seconds now is the gap between Senna and Gasho. So Heidfeld especially, if he wants the champion, he's going to have to get on with it. It's Prost and Button actually. Need to see that again, because Prost was through on Vettel up into turn, Button into turn 4. So he's just sent it up the inside in turn 4. It's a really aggressive move. He's left him space though, and Button's made some contact and said, oi, don't do that again please. And that's allowed Heidfeld to make up a position on Prost, so Heidfeld now up to 22nd. That's another car down. He's just got a button next to try and deal with. In the centre, there's Watson going really slowly. Yeah, Phil Hill's got him. So what's he done there? Has he run wide at Brewery? No, I think he's missed or got it stuck in second gear. Yeah, he's got it stuck in gear. But has eventually found the right one. It's unfortunate there for Watson. One of those things though. It happens. We head further forwards. Hamilton is not doing anything to catch up to Fangio. Vettel is falling away from Beloff and Fangio's closing in. Villeneuve is now behind Inoue, so Inoue's up to 4th and ahead of that little pack, while Clark is once again absolutely hounding Sterling Moss here, trying to work out a way to get through on the red knight. Onto the Jones straight they go. Moss trying, and Clark is now sat in the slipstream. What can he do? He's in the slipstream, we're down the straight again towards the braking zone. Clark thinks about a look, he thinks about it, slight contact. Clark's up the inside, Moss is going to try and fight it. Inside for the next 2 corners. Clark's going to try and fight it around the outside, but Moss keeps the position. Sterling Moss manages to just stay ahead of Jim Clark for another lap. Of course, Clark, as we know, was the only driver to actually move teams last season. He moved across from Red Knight to Siggy Pop, rather than teams that retained both their drivers or brought in a new driver. Clark moved across. So, Moss not wanting to give up that position to the driver who, well, he's in his former seat. So it's a case of, thanks, this is what you're missing out on. You could have been in this car that's capable of 2nd place, but no, you decided to move to that one, which is in 3rd place. Yeah. We're right on board here with Clark now, as Moss is a little bit wide at Brewery. He's taking a lot more curb. They're going to give Clark the slipstream. He's closing. He's visibly closing. The timer on the bottom left is saying he's closing. Is he going to send it again? No, he's not close enough. He thinks twice and decides, not this lap. But actually now Beloff has got past Villeneuve, so there's a swap in position for the 2 Breveras. Beloff up to 5th and Villeneuve down to 6th. Vettel is now in striking distance of Fangio, so Fangio is joining in the fun. Rossi has got past Hamilton. It's even more bad news for the championship leader. Brabham, Felix Cross, these are all the same. Kobayashi's falling down even further. He's under pressure from John Watson now. Jensen Button is ahead of this lot. Yes, as Heidfeld's also got past Senna somewhere. Hakkinen thinks about a move on Prost. Hakkinen around the outside, Prost on the inside. He's got the inside lines. Prost's going to keep it. Damon Hill slight contact with Hakkinen. They're still good, but this is handy for Heidfeld. He's finally got past Senna. There's a bit of a gap to Button, so hopefully the 2 of them can work together to move up the order. Gasho is the biggest disappointment of this race, I think. 4th in the championship, and he's got all that clear air and he's just going backwards. He just makes a bit of a slide and loses a load of time again, so sympathy, there isn't any. Fangio now is here, ready to challenge Vettel. Not on the brakes yet, but he's close enough that it's going to happen soon. Clark still struggling to get past Sterling Moss. Into the final hairpin. Out we head. All this time they fight. Chris Hoy's now got a 5.5 second lead after 15 laps. So he's basically pulled out a third of a second every single lap. It was quite impressive. So Chris Hoy, double race winner this year. Only driver for DTK Racing who's got on the podium, and it really is a hot and cold season for that team and driver. They either scored a million points in the race or absolutely nothing. Felix da Costa was too slow to capitalise when Hoy was having reliability issues at the beginning of the season. He's been too slow in the middle of the season, and well, it's looking calm and easy for Hoy at the moment, but this is global Formula Automobilista. That means absolutely nothing, because it can all get taken away from you on the last lap. That's Chris found out in him last season. So don't count your chickens yet, because yeah, no, it's too early. It's way too early for that. Inoue in 4th, again, doing brilliant. That's 13 points he's currently scoring. His teammate only scoring 6, so that's 7 points now, which brings the gap down, to 3 points, sorry, between the two of them in the championship as it stands, which will make the results of the Automobilista Grand Prix even more crucial. John Watson has got past Kobayashi here. He's now 2 places off getting the points and home points for 2KF1 after a season that's been as dire and struggle as much as this one has been. Would be absolutely fantastic. Gasho is pootling along, so Button has caught him up, and it's allowing Heidfeld to join in the fun as well. Battle here now for 19th place. Senna is ahead of Prost and Hackman, and Damon Hill cannot keep up. Neither can Perez or Schumacher and Mansell are nothing to worry about. Moss, having fended off Clark, I think the City Pop driver has just decided to accept defeat for the moment and come back to it later. Keep the tyres going, keep the fuel numbers, do what you need, and we'll get him later. Yeah, I think everything's just settled down a bit. There's not much passing it. Let's just have a quick race rundown. So, as stated, Chris Hoy, lead of the race currently. He was second on the grid, took the lead at the end of lap 1, and has just streaked away quite comfortably. 6.5 seconds he's got over Sterling Moss in second. He's only got half a second over Jim Clark in third, who's close. We'll just stick here to see if it is a move this lap. I don't think he's too far back, so Jim Clark in third place, looking to exercise his demons for the last about 1 million races. He's had no luck as Clark. I mean, he hasn't scored points since France. It's 5 consecutive races without point scoring when he was a championship challenger at the beginning of this season. 2 podiums and high point scores elsewhere. It's been spectacular for Clark, and then spectacular failure since. Inoue in 4th, championship not leader yet. He's getting there. Stefan Beloff in 5th place. He's got past his teammate and is doing quite well now. He's pulled a 2.5 second gap back to Villeneuve, who's been falling back since the start. Talking about falling back, Sebastian Vettel, pole sitter, currently sat in 7th place, and it's only that Fangio isn't getting any quicker, but he's still there. Rossi in 9th, C-Bot. Again, he's not been on the podium for a while, so he'd like to get back there eventually. Championship leader Lewis Hamilton is falling away though, in 10th place. And David Brabham in 11th. For Polestar, highest of the home team drivers. Antonio Felix da Costa in 12th for DTK, doing what he can. He's keeping up with this pack, although he has fallen away now from Brabham. Really, Flörsch is catching up to Felix, and that's going to be more of an issue for him pretty soon. So Flörsch up to 13th for NLE Motorsport, ahead of her teammate Max Verstappen in 14th. Dan Gurney who is currently sat ahead of Phil Hill, his teammate, so the Excelsior is currently battling over the last points. John Watson up to 17th, 2KF1, he's pretty close to some good points for that team. Kobayashi though has fallen back, and High Tech really need the points here. But he's just not scoring because their place at second in the Constructors' Championship is so fragile. And they're 9 points ahead of 5th. That's how fragile it is. Jensen Button sat in 19th. Not the greatest starts. Nick Heidfeld finally up 7 places after his crash in qualifying. But it's not what he needed at all. He had off-track moment on the first lap after he made up positions, and this is damage limitation. He's going to need some luck to score some points. He really is. Gasho's down to 21st. He's had an awful race. Prost 22nd, Hakkinen 23rd. Senna's 24th, ahead of Damon Hill, Perez, Schumacher, and Nigel Mansell. So we're still leading. Moss is still in second. Although he is starting to back Clark into Inoue, Benoff is sticking around, so this battle for second might become more than just 2 cars pretty soon. If Clark wants to keep it, he needs to get past Moss pretty soon, because Moss is just holding him up. And Inoue is thinking, I need these points. I can get these sooner rather than later. I'm in a great shout at this championship. Now, especially as he keeps hearing news on the team radio that his teammates falling back, he was in 10th. 10th is terrible when you try to get a championship. That's only 6 points, you know. As it stands, if Hamilton does finish in 10th, okay, Inoue will need to get up to second to take the championship lead, but seeing as he's only, what, 8/10 behind second place, I wouldn't say that's beyond the realms of possibility. Here we go. So Fangio is finally ready to pressure Vettel. He's finally got close enough to put pressure on the pole sitting Harvey. As we head to the final hairpin, turn 1 isn't really an overtaking spot. I mean, it is if you can get alongside someone, because there's only one line, so if you're on the inside there's nobody fighting that, but you've got to get a supreme X out the final corner, and nobody really makes a mistake too much there. Hamilton he's got no pace at the moment. As you can see on the track map, Chris Hoy started to lap Nigel Mansell, so as long as he can do it in a sensible place, that should be fine. But if he catches him somewhere awkward like the first corner or brewery, you could see some issues there for Hoy. Try and lap back Marcus, because we know that lapping back Marcus is not that easy in this series. Inoue super close to Clark on the back there as they break into the hairpin. Fangio's not got past Vettel, so he's safe for the moment. Inoue is now right on the back of Jim Clark. Chris Hoy is closing in on Mansell, and we'll try and get him lapping him, because as stated, we know how much blue flagging can make or break your race, even if you've got a massive lead like this. In the back, Jensen Button has just got past Kobayashi into the hairpin to make it up into 18th place, and Nick Heidfeld is sat around also trying to join in the fun. He of course needs to get past his teammate as soon as he can, because Kobayashi has got no pace and Heidfeld's got so much more. Yep. He's going to hopefully make the move into turn 1. He actually probably could, and he's pulled out the slipstream, but no, I think he's going to think about it. Nick Heidfeld up the inside, almost contact with his teammate. The side by side through turn 3, and Heidfeld makes the move. Spectacular move there, I have to say. He knows that's it. Inoue's actually made contact with Clark into the hairpin. A bit of a touring car tap, and Taki Inoue is up to 3rd. Championship leader makes up a position. That's past Jim Clark. Now he's got his sights set on Sterling Moss. Chris Hoynow's caught up to Nigel Mansell. Where's he going to let him through? I think somebody's off in the background at the hairpin. He was off as a yellow flag. There's Lewis Hamilton, championship leader Lewis Hamilton, has made a mistake down at the hairpin. What's he done? He's on his own. He's unpressured. Oh, he's locked it on the brakes and he's hit the wall. Lewis Hamilton, complete unforced error. Unless his brakes have failed. No, he's just missed his braking point. Oh, that's going to be a struggle. Is Hamilton going to escape that? I don't think he is. Championship leader Lewis Hamilton might be our first retirement of the race. He's falling back. Well, this is what Nick Heidfeld needed, really. But it's not him, because it's Hamilton, the championship leader, not Inoue, who's the one that's out. Although he does need a lot of misfortune to perform Inoue, and he needs to score a lot of points if he wants any chance. But I think Lewis Hamilton is out of the race. He is. He is. So Cass Racing have lost one of their challengers on lap 23 here. Well, that is a surprise, and Squeaky Bum Time has fallen one of the most crucial drivers in the championship so far. So that opens up. That's an open goal for Taki Inoue now. He just needs to survive to the end, make sure he scores 10 points, and he'll go into the last round in the championship. So of course what that does mean, because Inoue is only 10 points behind, the championship will not be decided today. The Drivers' Championship will go down to the final round at the Automobilista Grand Prix in Curitiba. So watch this space. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can not miss it when it's released at some point during the night, Monday morning next week. Moss now has got Inoue sat right with him, but Moss's defence has been pretty exemplary all his race. You know, he started in second and in fourth, sorry, he's made his way up to second. He's fended off Clark quite spectacularly, and Inoue's not really putting anything on at the moment. Although, to be honest, Clark is slightly closer to Inoue than Inoue is to Moss. But not this lap. Although unfortunately for Sterling, looks like there's some back markers that they're going to have to navigate soon in the form of Nigel Mansell. Patella's got Fangio and Rossi right behind him now. So this battle now for 7th is going to get quite spicy. Brabham's up to 10th. With Fleury having now got past Felix da Costa. 7th, 13th, and now both the Excelsiors are in the points, but Phil Hill has got past Dan Gurney. Hill's been the quicker and the better driver, but Dan Gurney got their career best 4th place in the last round of Japan. So I think Hill's here is going to try and make up for that, and having seen the chaos that was this race last year, just sit somewhere calmly and you can find yourself scoring a lot of points towards the end of this race out of absolutely nowhere. So Moss now leads this pack. It's a trio of cars with a 4th straggler down the Brabham Straight, heading towards the Duquetteville hairpin. Moss defends from Inoue as Inoue thinks about it, doesn't make anything up. As we enter back into the parkland area, final section of the lap, Moss still leads. In the brakes, the final corner, as in Moss defends, Inoue follows, and Clark always follows as well. As Inoue is now pulling out to the inside, which will become the outside for the next corner. He's going to have a look at the inside into the first chicane. Moss takes a lot of curb. Inoue's now got the slipstream, and he's going to think about it into turn 4, but it's not really an overtaking spot he got alongside earlier. Moss now is really having to defend hard while thinking about the fact that Mansell is there and he needs to lap him soon. So Moss is feeling a little bit shook. by the George GP car up ahead of him. Through the next section of corners and onto the Jones Straight. Can Moss get through at Brewery, or is that going to be a terrible idea? He thinks about it. He loses a lot of time in the process though. Moss has lost so much momentum, but his only real respite is that he's got the inside line, then he's got slipstream of Mansell. Moss up the inside of Mansell. Mansell slowed right down to let them all through, and it's really held Inoue up. Clark has been balked in the process, and Beloff wasn't really able to capitalise. They have all now got past Nigel Mansell. The both the Fangio Rossi pack is going to have to deal with him soon. And it still goes now. Schumacher about to be lapped by the race leader in 26th place. Hoy is just kind of having to worry about time loss rather than actual disaster that may befall him if he gets held up too much and being overtaken. As I can see in 21st place, Mika Hakkinen has made his way past Bertrand Gachot. Yeah, so Hakkinen's up to 24. Let's go and get a replay. I mean, it's home team on home team here. Gachot has been completely off pace this entire race. Hakkinen pulling alongside. Up the inside, down on the brakes, he's got the inside line. Mika Hakkinen up into 21st for 2KF1. Great move. Hoy is still unable to get past Schumacher, even under braking for the hairpin. Schumacher's not really being compliant about this. Clark, Inoue and Moss still together, but not together enough to make an overtake happen. Villeneuve's got past Mansell, as Vettel now makes it an odd dive, as Fangio also pulls to the inside thinking about it, and Rossi has a look. Fangio is having to think twice about that. Heading through the kinks at the end into the Foster's hairpin, as Chris Hoy has got past Schumacher up front. Inoue chasing Sterling Moss here, he wants that second place. With Hamilton out in third place, he's taking the championship lead by 5 points. If he gets up into second, he's taking it by 7 points. And of course, if he gets into second and then Chris Hoy retires through, I can't remember the phrase that I'm looking for. It's like cruel and ironic circumstances, but I don't think that doesn't sound right. Whatever it is, I'm just trying to avoid saying Hoy retiring through squeaky bum time, basically. But if that happens, Inoue will take the lead of the race, which I'm sure he would be happy to inherit. Until now, trying to slipstream past Mansell, but in the background, Rossi is challenging Fangio. It's actually Fangio up the inside there, thinks about moving Vettel, and Rossi, who had a great run, just wasn't able to get track position to make the move past the Red Knight. Although Mansell is really getting away with Vettel here, and holding him up on the brakes into Foster's hairpin. He will have to take a really awkward line to get past. But they survived. Survived for the moment, at least. David Brabham, lap 30. So Brabham, Felix da Costa and Phil Hill. Okay, so a few drivers now. Actually, Phil Hill's got past Max Verstappen somewhere. I didn't know that. Flörsch is coming in this lap. Yes, we're getting a few fuel warnings now. Chris Hoy, race leader, will make his pit stop straight away. First opportunity. So he's running slightly lighter than everyone else, and that's why he's been 7 seconds quicker. No, that doesn't work. So what to look out for is these three cars battling here for 4th place. What are they going to be doing? And someone in 22nd has made their pit stop. Oh, Jim Clark has piled into the back of Taki Inoue. Jim Clark's brakes have gone. That's That's a scary crash, as both Cash Racing cars seem to have had their race ended at the Decatur hairpin. Clark, look, he's nowhere, he's nowhere, he's nowhere. And then, there's nothing there. There was nothing Clark could do. Inoue has just had a horrible, that is a horrible feeling. It's just slowed down normally, and then just, it's accelerated so much speed, spins out. Oh, we got a yellow flag there. I don't know if that is Inoue. He thinks about it, he might come into the pits, but I don't think he's going anywhere. Jim Clark's almost definitely out after that. Wow, the hairpin that's removed both Cash Racing drivers from championship contention. So Inoue is trying to get, those 10 points to get it back to Hamilton, but now Hamilton's gonna, Inoue is out of the race. Jim Clark is also, come on, please retire. Don't sit there forever like we've had too many times this season. Don't want more Blinkmobiles. Well, what do we have here? So Sternmoss now takes the lead, having only just narrowly been wiped out by an out-of-control Inoue, having been wiped out by an out-of-control Clark. He's got Beloff right behind him, but both then pitting this lap as Villeneuve's coming in as well this lap. Chris Hoy is in 4th place, right behind Villeneuve, having made his pit stop. Vettel is now leading Fangio and Rossi, none of them are coming in this lap. Felix da Costa is making his stop for DTK Racing. The Phil Hill and Verstappen. David Brabham has lost his front wing somewhere. We'll just try and ascertain where that happened. Did it happen down at the hairpin in all the mess? And everybody trying to... Oh no, he's lost it earlier. But he's either had a... Oh no, he's just... Right, so he's gone off at Flinders. Oh, so Brabham was trying to lap Mansell. He's hit Mansell in the extra Flinders and bounced off into the tyres, so... Oh, the home driver, David Brabham, lost his front wing and he's now stuck doing another lap. With John Watson in 12th now, trying to join in the fun. Bottom 13th is coming in this lap. Kobayashi 15th is coming in this lap. Heidfeld must have made his stop because there's no way he's 17th, unironically. And he'll exit the pits. The rest of these, so yes, Clark is out there. So having said that Clark needed a good result, that's 6 non-point scores in a row for Jim Clark. I mean, for a driver who was, finished 4th, 3rd, 6th, 3rd, and retirements and unluckiness and just complete disaster who ruined it for him. But Chris Hoy's pitted, and he's still come out ahead of the pole sitter of Vettel. He's not had any misfortune, he's just been slow. That shows you how much of a lead Hoy actually had coming into this. Fangio's coming in this lap, as is Rossi. Phil Hill up to 7th, he's making his stop as is Verstappen. David Brabham has just been pushed wide by Flörsch, who's not messing around there. Watson's up to 15th now. Just about Perez getting out of the way of Chris Hoy. He puts a lap on the 23rd driver. Michael Schumacher's already a lap down and Mansell's going to make a pit stop already in 25th. 25 cars still remaining and 2 of the cars that are out are our championship rivals and constructors champions. Now, with them out, the focus of the championship battle now turns as Vettel's crashed in the pit lane entry. Pole sitting Sebastian Vettel is out of the race. What's he done here? He's made it into the pits, but he's braked too late. Then he's skidded off. Sebastian Vettel. He's carried too much speed into the corner and he's just lost it. Oh, inexorable slide off into the wall, and Sebastian Vettel, as Phil Hill's also out. No, what's happened to Hill? Has he run out of fuel? I hope not. Oh no, No, he's given up there. Something's broken in the back of that car. That's tragic. Seville Hill for Excelsior. Next driver is out the race. Brabham still can't make it into the pit lane. Having lost his front wing. Anyway, what was I trying to say? Yes. 14th place Nick Heidfeld. Suddenly, here's your opportunity, Nick. You need to get your foot down, climb up past these retiring cars, up into 12th. If you guys are going to pit, so makes it up into 11th now. Nick Heidfeld is currently on 80 points. Lewis Hamilton is 119 points. There's a gap of 39 points, with 41 still available. Hamilton has won 3 races, Heidfeld has won 2. And realistically, no, Heidfeld needs to win both last races if he wants points. We've got another yellow flag up here. But it's Manuel Fangio's out next. He's definitely run out of fuel looking at that. He was trying to keep it out an extra couple of laps, and well, that's not worked, has it? So Fangio's the next driver out, because they won't let this one out the back of that. As Jenson Button now passing John Watson into 11th place as he gets into the hairpin. Yes, Heidfeld needs to win both of the next races. In fact, if he comes second, he can't win the championship, effectively. Yeah, Heidfeld's in 10th. He is 42 seconds off the race lead. Okay, that's a big ask. But we've seen weirder things. I mean, did you see Chris Hoy's victory in the last race? There's no way he deserved that. He just somehow inherited win when everybody else threw it away. Heidfeld had so much unluckiness in the second half of this season, having been supreme at the beginning. Can he make this the race where he gets back up? So Dan Gurney's up to 9th. Of course, there was Songman in Excelsior now. Flörsch is up to 8th, behind Max Verstappen. Felix da Costa somehow found himself in 6th because everyone else is falling away around him. Rossi's got clear track in 5th because both Fangio and Button have retired, actually, who he was battling with. Villeneuve comes from in 4th. Beloff is up to 3rd. Sterling Moss is a happy 2nd because both Inoue and Clark have crashed out from behind him. Beloff now pushing the back marker out of the way through turn 4. So, 8-second lead is what Chris Hoy has up Sterling Moss. Beloff up to 3rd. Villeneuve down to 4th. And Rossi up into 5th. Felix da Costa's 6th place. There you go, Heidfeld up 16 places into 11th on lap 34. This race has got plenty of life left in it, actually. Although Button's got past Heidfeld. Yeah, Jenson Button is just looking super quick at the moment. And he's got past Heidfeld. So it's made it slightly more difficult for Heidfeld if he wants, these points in this position. And of course, if you can't win the Drivers' Championship, you can certainly help in the Constructors. I mean, obviously the Constructors' Championship is over. Cass have won that by a country mile. But Heidfeld and Kobayashi need to do what they can, because, well, only one... Actually, no, neither Polestars are in the points. In 3rd place in the Championship. Although both Bavaria's is at 3rd and 4th. And there's one Siggy Pop left. Red Knight, even with Moss remaining, could factor into this. Harvey have only got one left, and that's Jensen. And DTK Racing are actually going to score a shed load of points as it stands. So this could all close right up in the battle for 2nd. It's really the battle for 3rd, because Rivera will score a lot here with 3rd and 4th. But yeah, the championship standings are getting pretty spicy. As I keep saying. Don't know why spicy is my word of the day, but it is. So, without any back markers, Moss has managed to get the gap to the lead down by 1.5 seconds since the last look. It's only 6.8 now. And Moss is starting to pile the pressure here on Chris Hoy. Beloff is looking happy in third. I mean, he'll try and challenge Moss if he can get close. That's 2.5 seconds. Is what he's got to find. Villeneuve up in fourth. Everybody comfortable. He's in no man's land between the two of them. And Rossi's got 6 seconds ahead and 7 seconds behind. Felix da Costa isn't going to make any impression here on Villeneuve, and really he's got to worry about the two NLEs catching up to him. Dan Gurney's got Jensen Button right behind him. When I say right behind him, I think he's actually right beside him. It's Button flying down the Brabham straight up the inside. He takes the position of in the background there. John Watson making a move on Nick Heidfeld. So the entire time that I've told Nick Heidfeld this is his chance to get back in the title fight, he's just gone backwards. So I better shut up. Kobayashi now 14th, so High-Tech aren't really scoring double points as it stands, and Brabham's got past Hackman. So it's Australian driver in Australian team on Finnish driver in Finno-Australian team. But I mean, you talk to the guy and he's basically Hackman is basically accepted as Australian for when he's driving 2KF1. As that's Valentino Rossi's lost his front wing in the middle of that somehow. Has he had some contact with the back marker? He must have done. So the City Pop's complete lack of luck that they've had in the last couple of races is carrying on. Oh, it's not one of the classic brewery corner mess ups, is it? Perez trying to... Oh no, that's all Sergio's fault. Message the manager of City Pop, please organise some kind of luck bus delivery for the last race of the season, because you need it. Like DTK used to do it in Formula FG, just stick a load of lucky horseshoes and 4-leaf clovers all over the car and it might work. I think they did get a win when they did that once. Anyway, Rossi at least sensible enough to tell the team he's coming in this lap, and therefore will come in this lap, as Felix da Costa always runs into the back of him, and that's going to really stunt City Pop's Constructors' Championship battle. Dan Gurney now under pressure from John Watson, who's dropped Nick Heidfeld. I mean, Heidfeld he's spent most of this season on pole position. Why is he falling back so much? I don't even understand this. It's an off day for the High-Tech driver. So Watson is really fighting here to get past Gurney. You know, 10th place, this is where he finished last time out. He's thinking, yo, I want to get more points. It's the team's home race. They're giving me a massive bonus. If I can score some points and score good points here, I want to do this for the fans. 2KF1 have had a stinker of a season. What can we get out of the end of this race? Schumacher has passed Sergio Perez, so the Bangalore teammates have shuffled around positions. So Gasher 17th now, Hackman 16th, Brabham 15th and in the points. Valentino Rossi has been shuffled out after that extra pit stop in 13th place, and it's too early for him to make it to the end after that pit stop. So Rossi's 13th, he is going to have to pit again, like everybody else unfortunately. So it's not like it's forcing him to an alternate strategy. As Watson is past Gurney now, it must have been down at the hairpin. Felix da Costa trying to put a lap on Perez and does quite safely. Villeneuve's happy in 4th, Beloff in 3rd, but the gap up front with no back markers in any way, shape or form getting in the way of Chris Hoy. Hoy has put some bad tyres on, or has put way too much fuel in, or doing something wrong, because Sterling Moss since the beginning of this stint has halved the deficit. It's now 4.6 seconds. So Moss is now thinking, maybe I can win this. You know, why shouldn't I? I'm going to go and catch Hoy and I'm going to pass him. So Sterling Moss here fighting potentially for a race win here for the Red Knight. You know, a team that, as I said, they've had one podium in their career, despite the fact that they're pretty much the best team who've never been on the podium. And this could be the day. I think, to be honest, looking down the order, Excelsior now are the best team who've never had a podium, because, well, I mean, Falcon got on the podium, Red Knight have had one. Yeah, most other teams, I think it's Bangalore, Jules, and technically Bad Rain, but they're not racing anymore. Are the only ones who haven't been on the podium yet. Because 2KF1 get one last year? I'm sure they must have done early season or something. Let me just check. Hopefully I went to the right thread. Yeah, 4 seconds now. He's made up half a second on this lap. So what Chris Hoyce did in 18.5 and Sterling Moss has done a 17 at 7 tenths. 7 tenths of a second. No, 2KF1 did not get a podium last season. So, yeah, that's right, they were millimetres away from it until this round as well, until the last lap heartbreak for Mick Ackland. I think it was, from lose his front wing. John Watson in 9th is 6 places away from a podium. And he's lap 40, and just approaching half distance. So who knows what could happen. It's GFA. The answer is anything. And it probably isn't what you were expecting or wanting. Because it'll inevitably affect your driver. .2 seconds, this lead gap is dropping, and it's not going to get any better because Chris Hoy is just starting to catch Damon Hill and Ayrton Senna to put a lap on them. So not only is he going to start at 18.5 again, go to 17.8, so that's 7 tenths, 2 laps in a row, definitely. And the thing is, it's not like Moss has put the hammer down. Beloff is following him. This is Hoy is going slow. I mean, let's see what his teammate's doing, Felix da Costa, and he crosses the line. I'm not expecting much, I must admit. 18. Even Felix da Costa is 3 tenths faster than his teammate. Verstappen just done 18.6, so I think he just lapped some back markers. Bersh has definitely lapped someone on that lap. So Button's doing a 17.8 as well. Even John Watson is going quicker. Prost is now putting pressure on Heidfeld. Dan Gurney's been shuffled down, so we've got a 4-way battle here, 10th place, which Nick Heidfeld is heading, and he shouldn't be heading this. He should be miles down the road. Gurney has to think a bit about an attack on Prost, as the lead gap is down underneath 2 seconds now. Chris Hoy is having a torrid time. I think we're going to stick with this battle for a bit as we head down the Brabham Straight, because this is where it's going to get interesting. Rossi there right behind Gurney as they disappear behind some trees, so I've got no idea what's happening. You'll love to see it. They're side by side through breweries. Rossi's managed to get the move done. No, he hasn't got the move done, Gurney. Prost in the slipstream of Heidfeld. Now pulls back to have the speed. Rossi passes down Gurney. Lovely move. I think we're going to have to see what just happened through brewery, because it was probably quite epic. Yeah, Rossi's just got a great exit down the Jones Straight and he's tried to outbrake him. They've both left each other space. But Gurney's got the outside line, he's got the pace, but then Rossi gets the slipstream. They've fallen too far back from Prost. Rossi on the inside, brakes later, newer tyres. Gets the moves done. Solid as you like. Chris Hoy's lead is down to underneath a second. Here, Sterling Moss has closed this gap down from absolutely nothing. Hoy has caught up to 7 Hill and Senna and then fallen away from them. Belloff is sat there watching Moss right on Chris Hoy's tail. Hoy is not having a fun time of it. It's worth pointing out that Belloff is now 1.3 seconds behind the leader. Villeneuve is 9 seconds off the lead. Felix da Costa is 18 seconds further back behind Villeneuve. There's a big gap that this lot can pit and drop into. Sterling Moss is right there with Chris Hoy. Hoy's having to defend and I'm missing it all because I'm trying to find the camera. Moss and Belloff chasing down Chris Hoy here. Hoy is getting a bit shook because he can't even keep up with Damon Hill. Try and lap him, you know. Try and get past him down the back straight or something. Get some slipstream, get the inside line so that Moss can't pass. Use the back mark to create a block. But he's not doing it, he just can't keep up with Hill. That's a really awful exit by Hoy there out of Brewery. Moss had to pull up, but he's got a tiny bit of slipstream. Careful in the right way. Moss up the inside, Belloff's going to join in. Sterling Moss for the race lead. Moss takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. Chris Hoy having to battle Belloff, he's got the inside line. Chris Hoy keeps second place at least. And it's now, can Belloff get past Hoy? Because I mean, look at the gap, Moss has already got 7/10 he's gone. Hoy is having to defend here from Belloff rather than worry about trying to get the lead back. His pace drop off has been criminal, 19.0, 20.6 for Hoy. He's been absolutely dire this second. I mean, he was exemplary in the first stint. His new set of tyres have been dreadful, and Hoy is just falling away. Belloff is going to get him at some point, and Sterling Moss is going to lap Damon Hill this lap, I'd almost be sure to say. Prost here up the inside of Heidfeld. Harper's pushed wide, and Rossi's going to join in the fun as well. Gurney's nowhere near this group. Rossi trying to go around the outside of Heidfeld. As they... not quite. Belloff pulls out to have a look at Hoy, but gets back in the slipstream. Gets a little bit of a boost. Side by side into the braking point to get Bill hairpin. And Belloff's got the inside line. Hoy lets him have it. Hoy's just going to leave this, I think. Try and get him on the last stint. As Moss laps Damon Hill quite sensibly. Hill gets out the way. Hoy squeezes through the gap. Well, that is not what I was expecting to happen at the beginning of this second stint. Because Hoy was looking like he got this race won. You know, it was going to be squeaky bomb time was the only thing that was going to stop him, but no, it's him being useless in the second stint is what's done that. Rossi now sat behind Heidfeld. He's in the slipstream and he's pulling out. Is he going to make the move? He's close and into the hairpin. Rossi's up to 11th. Prost has pulled away from this lot. Watson was looking quite happy as Jenson Button has made a move on Sophia Flörsch. Verstappen in 6th, Felix da Costa still in 5th and quite happy. As Chris Hoy is making a pit stop already, so perhaps he's just got a lingering problem. This is probably too early. This is probably going to be a bit like one of the phantom pit stops that Lewis Hamilton had to do last race, not the one he had to do. Because Chris Hoy's phantom pit stop was late enough that he could get to the end. Whereas Hamilton's was too early and he had to make a splash and dash on the last couple of laps. So Hoy is probably setting himself up for another pit stop after he's made this phantom one. So Hoy is throwing away this win. He really is. It must be a major problem because there's no way he's done that deliberately. Now he's coming up with excuses for his bad performance. So Moss leads by 7/10 over Belloff. This is a straight fight really between these two for who's going to get the win. Can't remember, did Rivera win a race last season? I think they did. They definitely haven't won one this season. No, Rivera had a couple quite a few second places last season. Yes, as it stands, this is two teams scrapping out for their first win. Moss is now caught up to Mansell for the second lap on him. Beloff also squeezes through together, so yes, Red Knight and Bravera Racing, two teams who have not yet won a race, Global Formula Automobilista. They've taken second places before, both of them. Red Knight have only got the one. Can they finally get a win? Bravera have got 2 attempts on this because Villeneuve is sat in third. Chris Hoy next to the pits in fourth after his phantom pit stop, so he's still around and he can capitalise if anything goes wrong for this lot, such as back markers ruining it for Moss and Beloff and Villeneuve. But they both seem to have got past the back markers for now, so this race is between them on their own. Felix Costa's never won a race, he's in 5th, and NLE Motorsport in 6th and 8th would dearly love to get back on the top step. You know, the champions last time out, and their engine just didn't deliver at the beginning of the season, and it's been catch up ever since. So the Dutch team are hoping for so much better. But of course Harvey, another team that have had a disappointing year when compared to last season. Of course down in 9th there, John Watson. 2KF1, if they could win this, that would be insane. But it's going to take a lot of squeaky bum time for that to happen because big gaps. Really big gaps back to Watson in 9th place. It's 44 seconds off the lead after 48 laps. That's almost a second per lap he's down, Søren Moss. Beloff is keeping Moss honest. And this is going to be a tense scrap, I can see, for the whole race. Maybe their pit stops right. One of these could end up on top. Villeneuve he's falling back, he's 8 seconds behind. And he's got 3 back markers to get past. So Villeneuve isn't really any part of this equation at the moment. As they head down the Brabham again. Mick Hakkinen is the next driver to be lapped, as Moss makes a nice little defence. Nick Heidfeld's down to 60. I think he might have been another victim of the phantom pit stop. Again, it's probably too early for it to really affect him. We've got a couple more. I think the Brabham's coming to the pits now. Perez has pitted, as has Hakkinen and Brabham. So yes, the phantom pit stop, and Dan Gurney as well. This is Flourish. Yeah, this is new. I don't know how or why this has become a part of the championship, but it has. We're just going to have to accept that this kind of mid-race phantom pit stop, some may call it an undercut, but seeing as it doesn't always work, and it's not happened before in a season and a half of racing, I don't know why it happens. That's why I call it a phantom pit stop, because it doesn't make any sense. Flourish is coming from 8th place, so who knows? Who knows what's happened? The phantom pit stops have promoted Watson up into 8th though, so going really well for 2KF1 now. Villeneuve sat in 3rd. Chris Hoy 4th has now got to put a lap on. Looks like Hakkinen and Mansell. Hakkinen's taken an awkward line there to try and let Hoy through. Hoy's not got through. He can held by it, but he's made the move through the penultimate corners. So he's made a lapping there. Sterling Moss has almost got the gap back to Beloff up to a second, and if he can do that, that would just make it slightly easier for him, make his life slightly better, but at the moment it's not happening. Beloff is doing his best to keep involved and keep up with him, making this a challenge. Of course, we've now completed 50 laps of this 81 lap race, so we're getting towards the end of it, but still a long way to go. There's still a lot that can change. You know, Beloff is in the slipstream and he's closing up. Don't have to challenge, but it's something. So the phantom pit stops hopefully having cleared. Have another quick run through. So Sterling Moss, after 51 laps, leads the way after an inspired charge to get past Chris Hoy. Stefan Beloff is in second, only 4 tenths behind, so this battle clearly is not over. Gilles Villeneuve and the other Brevera, Brevera having 2 chances here to win their first race. He sits third. Now Chris Hoy has got to make that extra pit stop. He's made that stop, fixed whatever was wrong, and now he's setting fastest lap of the race. So, yeah, wrong set of tyres, slow puncture, a bit of damage, whatever it was. Hoy is back up to speed, closing in on the leaders. Felix da Costa now sits 5th in the other DTK Racing, quite a long way ahead of Max Verstappen. In 6th place he's got Jenson Button closing right up, so this was battle for last year's championship. I think it's worth going back up to the front because Beloff is right on the tail here. Sterling Moss, Stefan Beloff up the inside into the hairpin. Beloff taking the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. I did say he was sat behind and he was trying to keep up and he was catching up in the slipstream. So Beloff has made the move now. He's up into first place. Nick Heidfeld now sets the fastest lap. I think we're going to do the rundown of the order. I mean, you can see what the order is on the left. I'm going to stop waffling for a bit and start focusing back on this. So Moss has dropped behind Beloff now. He needs to see if he can now keep up to the Brevera and make the move later himself. Verstappen and Button for 6th and 7th are right with each other as well. They've just gone through the hairpin. Beloff is going to catch up and lap 14th place Bertrand Gatto pretty soon. But we have seen so far that apart from Perez and Rossi down at Brewery, so far the back marks have been pretty well behaved and giving the drivers plenty of space to make the move sensibly. So, Brabham straight time, slipstream time for Moss. It's not enough to make a move on Beloff yet. So that has settled down as Chris Hoy is making some moves. So Verstappen's going to make a phantom pit stop as well. Although, I would say this is late enough that he can make it to the end. So Verstappen going for an undercut Hail Mary that of course won the race for Chris Hoy last time out. So this could be a case of a driver actually thinking, no, it worked last time, let's take it again, because it means we're out of all the leader curse squeaky bum time. So that said, Jenson Button's about to make a move on Verstappen, and Verstappen up into 6th. So Button up into 6th. So Verstappen's pit stop's going to promote Watson, although as I said, that's probably a worthy pit stop for Verstappen. Prost is now 9th, of course came 2nd place last time out. He's been nowhere and yet he's in 9th. I don't quite get how that's happened. Rossi has made a pit stop for a front wing, although that wasn't a phantom pit stop, but he's definitely got to stop again. Fleury has phantom pit stops as Nick Heidfeld makes a move on his teammate Kobayashi. Gaston Gurney now the last driver in the points. Now we just flick back the drivers who are back markers. So Moss here trying to keep up with Beloff, trying to make a move and get back into the lead of this race. Beloff is getting slightly defensive into Foster's hairpin. I don't know why, because he's not really close enough to attack, and it's not like Moss is going to be stupid enough to send it there. It's a bit too narrow for true out braking manoeuvre. Beloff defending again, so Beloff obviously aware that Moss has got the pace and he just managed to get past in the slipstream. These two scrapping it out beautifully to try and win this race. Through the left-right flick. There we go. And onto the Jones straight. And up at Brewery Corner. This is the point where you've got to get the run. Beloff hits the apex. Moss doesn't hit the apex as sweetly. But he's 4 tenths back. He's got the run. He's got slipstream. Probably too far back for anything too serious on the brakes. Beloff defends. Moss follows him in the brakes. Doesn't make a move. Gasho is sat there kind of taunting up in the distance, like, you want to lap me, but if you try and lap me, Moss might get through, but if you don't lap me, Moss will definitely get through, so what are you going to do? And it doesn't really matter, because at the moment Jules Villeneuve is falling away from this pair, but Chris Hoy is closing. It's only 15 seconds as Gasho slows right down in the middle of the first chicane. Beloff does everything he can to avoid running into the back of the Polestar. Just think that Gasho's nowhere, and he pulls. What was Bertrand doing there? That was just awful. That was one of the worst backmarker getting out of the way bits of driving I've seen in such a long time. But you can see the blue flags. Fair enough, he's thinking about, okay, I'll let him through at the first quarter, but it's a tight chicane. What are you doing parking it on the apex? Especially as Dan Gurney's just overtaken you for position. That was the really clever part of that whole manoeuvre. Not only has he ruined the leader's battle, he's also lost a position. He lost more points that Polestar can't afford to throw away. 8 tenths is the gap now that Beloff has got. Is that enough to break the slipstream? Well, it clearly isn't, but unless he really screws up Brewery, he should be completely safe down the next straight. Yes, he's pulling away now, it's 9 tenths. And no, each gear change, Beloff is pulling away. It's only right now, just before the end, that the slipstream is enough for Moss to start closing, but the gap is about a second now. So despite almost having his race ended by some idiot parked on the apex, that back marker shenanigans has actually helped Beloff out, so we've got the gap up to a second now. It's safer than it was, so I think I can finally get back to going through where everybody is. Beloff now leads as we start lap 57. Stelling Moss is in second, with Gilles Villeneuve in third, 8 seconds off Moss. Chris Hoy is closing right up, he's 5 seconds now behind Villeneuve, so he's trying to get back on the podium, and of course he's definitely got to stop again, but he'll be right at the end. Felix da Costa in 5th. Tilmy Camby's got nowhere near as much pace as his teammate. And Jenson Button up in 6th. It's an impressive drive for him, up from 18th on the grid. Watson up into 7th place. I'm just going to say nothing, I don't want to curse him. Prost, from last on the grid, is up into 8th place. A few Phantom pit stops might have helped him there though, so we'll see how that goes towards the end, but you know, having come second last time out for Falcon, he's up for another big haul of points. Rossi in 9th though is hounding the Falcon, with Verstappen down in 10th and Flörsch 11th, both of which have made Phantom pit stops, and Verstappen's come out on top. Heidfeld's up to 12th, looking like his championship challenge is pretty much over. Kobayashi in 13th. Gurney's now watching Moss and Beloff, trying to work out who's going to win this race. Gasho 50th, Braven down to 60th, having lost his front wing. Senna 17th, completely anonymous. Mika Hakkinen in 18th. Damon Hill's 19th. Schumacher's and Perez are struggling at the back. Bangalore once again, and Mansell's just many laps behind in 22nd place. We've lost Fangio, Vettel, Hill, Clark, Inoue and Hamilton from this race, so this whole thing about, oh, championship could be decided today, no, it hasn't, and Inoue can't even make up for it. Hamilton's brakes went at the hairpin. Inoue was wiped out. Clark's brakes went at the hairpin. And then the brakes, basically. Moss is right behind Beloff now, and Beloff is defending into the hairpin quite substantially. He's scared of Moss. Moss gets a bit loose next. We've got a yellow flag. I think 50th place Gasho has just crashed out of the race at the hairpin. He's lost his wheel. Something major has gone wrong here for Bertrand Gasho and the Polestar. 4th place in the Drivers' Championship, was having a dire race. And he's just... oh no. Oh, that is a sickening crunch to watch. Gasho is going slow obviously because he's been cooking his brakes, and it's ended, well, with the brakes finally having had enough. Moss is 3/10 behind Beloff here in this battle for the win between Bavaria and Red Knight, 2 teams, both after their first win, 2 drivers, both after their first win, 2 drivers in their first season of the championship. There's their more experienced teammates in Fangio and, oh, Villeneuve, as Schumacher has absolutely ruined this battle. What has he done? So Gasho, oh no, Moss has lost so much time in all of this. Oh, I'm going to have to watch all that again. So, Beloff has caught up to Schumacher on the exit of the corner out of Flynn Street. Schumacher's kind of gone to the inside. Beloff's not swept around and pushed him. Moss has got caught trying to go the other side of Schumacher in, and he's just got caught by Schumacher. Schumacher's put his foot down because, well, he is entitled to do that, and Moss has been boxed in because Dan Gurney's thought, well, I'm not going to sit here and get my race run. He's unlapped himself and all of that, and Moss has got through. Well, that was something, I suppose. And, well, Beloff has now got a 3-second lead and a pack marker in the way. Moss needs the kind of pace that he unlocked to get past Chris Hoy, to get back on the back of Beloff. He needs to be incensed, he needs to be enraged, he needs to get focused and chase back to Beloff. Don't get too enraged and chuck it off the road in disgust. But Sterling, you can do this. This is your chance. Get back in focus. It's 3.5 seconds you've got to make up. Barrel up behind him with a load of speed. Know how to drive this track quicker than him and make the move. Well, the lead battle dispersed. You can head back and see that it's now 1.8 seconds between Hoy and Villeneuve, so Hoy's complete lack of pace in the middle of the race for no apparent reason has now disappeared, and he is closing in on Villeneuve. Prost is getting light on fuel, so he's going to make his stop soon. As Verstappen and Rossi have closed right in on Prost as well. So they're probably going to make a move and find Prost then jumping out the way into the pit straight away. Sorry about the hiccups. So Verstappen's even thinking about a move on Rossi here into turn 4. He definitely had the speed over him. Through Flinders Street, onto Hutt Street. To the medium speed left right, where you've got to line yourself up for this braking point. Feed it down the Jones Straight. Think about your line, get a brilliant exit through the brewery. And I don't think it's going to be a move made this lap. Unless Rossi just absolutely launches up the inside of Prost, which I don't think he's cheap enough to do. Prost defends. Rossi to the outside. Prost did the right thing there. And he keeps ahead. Watson now trying to lap Nigel Mansell. Watson must be going, wait a second, I'm lapping people. I've not done that at all this season. Watson's getting light on fuel, so he'll probably pit at the end of this lap, as will Prost. Backmark's probably trying to help out. Prost makes a really weird line as Verstappen's lost his front wing on the back of Nigel Mansell. Mansell caught in a rock and a hard place really there. I mean, yes, he should have just slammed on the brakes and let them all through, but he wanted to get in the corner as well, and Verstappen's just turned into the side of Mansell. So Verstappen loses his front wing and he needs to get on the radio quickly and get into the pits. That's race over as Prost has run a bit wide there into turn 4 and Rossi's made the move. So Prost has made an odd line. Rossi's carried so much more speed through there. Oh yeah, he's just got a brilliant run on. Prost's defended, got on the marbles, hit the curb, run a bit wide. Rossi now takes 8th place. Yeah, so a few more guys starting to get light on the fuel. 4 seconds out of the gap for the lead, but Chris Hoy's magnetised himself to the back of that Bravera. He has flown up behind Villeneuve. He's now only 10 seconds off the lead. Villeneuve defends into turn 1. And that's not going to help him. What can Hoy do? He can force Villeneuve to take defensive line. He hits the curb but just about keeps it going. Staying ahead through Flinders Street. Gets his foot down through the left and the right. This is going to be all about the exit through Brewery. It's worth pointing out that there's now 2 cars between Beloff and Moss. And actually Hoy's got a brilliant exit onto the Jones straight. He's not even going to make it to the hairpin, and I think he might be through. They're side by side. Oh no, sorry, that was Brewery, and this is the hairpin. And Chris Hoy's up to 3rd. I got distracted by something else. But Chris Hoy takes 3rd place off Gilles Villeneuve. As Beloff and Moss make their stops. So as Villeneuve comes in as well, so Chris Hoy should take the lead. But because his phantom pit stop, I think he's going to have to stop again. I don't think he's going to go to the end. Beloff is only 4 seconds behind Hoy, so if he can unlock some pace, he could catch up and pass Hoy and win this race on the road anyway. Moss is 5 seconds back, and there is still a back marker in between them, so I think Moss's race has been ruined by that moment with Schumacher. Villeneuve's now battling both the Bangalores, and he is stuck. He really is stuck there. He's managed to get past them though, as soon as he possibly could. Felix da Costa's got to pit. As Jenson Button does leave the pits in 6th. Rossi's going to take 7th, and he might be going to the... No, he's definitely got to stop again. Flörsch in 8th, Heidfeld up to 9th, Watson carrying on in 10th, having made his stop. Verstappen has made it into the pits without his front wing. Perez has lost his front wing, and I think that might have been at turn 1, because I saw a front wing lying around there. And I wasn't too sure what from. So he's hit his teammate. Perez has actually hit his teammate when he was getting passed by Damon Hill, so that's where that's happened. Mansell 21st is about to get lapped again. Verstappen exits the pits in the front wing. Kobayashi 13th is the last of the drivers not yet who's been lapped. But he's about to pit, so he'll probably get lapped. Felix da Costa makes it through the hairpin into the pit lane. So he's Villeneuve in a comfortable 4th. Moss is now falling away from Beloff. There's a 3.8 second gap is what he's got to Chris Hoy. They've got no back marks around them. Can Beloff make an impression on Hoy? 3.6, so We'll see what their lap times are like at the end of this. So Chris Hoy is topping out down the straight at 184. Beloff is also topping out at 184. Now, since the last race, I finally remembered to do what I said I was going to do. I think about Road America, which was increase the gear range, the gear ratios for everybody on the high, because they were all running out. And somebody has pulled off an 18th place. It's Damon Hill. He's retired from the race for the George GP team. As he's actually been tapped there by Villeneuve, and that's caused something to break at the back of the car, and he's pulled off. So Damon Hill out the race. That leaves us with 20 cars left running. That's like 3.2 seconds now is what Beloff has caught up to. So it's this gap is going down, and if Chris Hoy doesn't pit again, Beloff can still win this. Beloff has got some sheer pace in that Bravera, and he could do this, you know. Don't rule it out. I mean, I still think Hoy's going to pit, and Moss is 9 seconds back, and he's got 3 back markers to deal with. Oh, getting passed by Beloff and getting caught behind Michael Schumacher has absolutely destroyed this race of Sterling Moss. Really has. He's just not got the pace at all. He's not got any luck. So, unfortunately, Red Knight fans, this isn't your day. Well, squeaky bum time could make it your day, but we'll gloss over that for the moment. .7, so that yeah, Hoy's done 17.9 and Bell's done 17.4. So Chris Hoy, he's gone from race fastest lap pace to it just disappearing, and 2.3 seconds now is the lead gap. It was 4 when Beloff left the pits only, what, 3 or 4 laps ago. So, I don't know where this pace difference is coming from. He was electric in the first stint. And it's all turned out as being absolutely nothing. Felix da Costa and Button, big battle for 5th place. That's going to close up soon, especially as Rossi is joining in that fight. Yeah, Flörsch, Rossi, Felix da Costa and Button, they could all close up and we could have a titanic scrap for 5th. Felix can get his pace out 1.7 seconds. The current gap, I'm talking about 1.7 seconds. That's what Beloff had got it down to. Although that did involve having to lap a back marker, and he has lost pretty much the same amount of time trying to put the lap on Mansell as he made up when Hoy lost the time. Still 2.5 seconds, so 19.08. Beloff has still made up time on Hoy, 2/10 that lap. Sterling Moss, he's just got so many back markers to get past, that's going to be his problem. Hakkinen squeezes him through 2 and 3, but at least he didn't lose his front wing in the mess that we've seen other drivers do. Button's got 2 seconds on Felix da Costa, so I think Button might have the pace now to actually pull away. Rossi might close up to Felix. Flörsch is joining in. Heidfeld, yeah, no, he's not winning this championship. He just isn't. Watson's solid result here in 10th, if he can keep it. And of course, if he can find more, the team would celebrate so hard in their home races. Actually, Hakkinen's in the points, so 2KF1 could be here onto their 3rd double points in a row, which would be a stonking result for the team. Something that they could really do with. You're on camera. Let's run on board with Beloff, as this is what being less than 2 seconds off the race leader looks like. We'll run on board with him. As he sets the 17.2. That's a brilliant lap time there from Beloff. He is incensed. He wants that win. He wants to find Chris Hoy and absolutely mug him. He doesn't even want to worry about that phantom pit stop. Beloff just wants to win the race. 1.7 seconds is what the gap's come down to. There's only 13 laps to go. 10 seconds is his gap to Moss now. Moss, trapped in the back markers, is falling away rapidly, while Beloff is just streaking off into the distance. 1.6 seconds, he is flying up to the back of Chris Hoy. It's not going to be long before he's challenging, and I don't think it's going to be long before he's passed. Alain Prost comes into the pits in 11th place. As also Sergio Perez, it looks like, has come into the pits as well. Two drivers in the pits. No, not saying. So 17.3 compared to 17.8. So it's half a second again that Beloff has found. And somebody in 16th, I think that's Kobayashi, might have retired from this race. He has. Yellow flag. Hang on. Oh, there's a rear wing of a. So Perez is obviously lost his rear wing somewhere. That's probably with Prost. That'd be right. Oh, Kobayashi. I think his engine has died. Yeah, there's black smoke out the back of that car. So that's why he's out. So let's find out what's happened to Perez. So he's running out of his rear wing because there was a definitely an orange rear wing with Phillips written on the back. Down here. Oh, he's had a spin. So Perez has tried to let Prost, and once again Perez has been rammed in the back by getting out of the way just awfully into Brewery Corner. This is what we saw last season. They were all doing it last season, sure, and really everybody else has paid attention and not done it again this year. Prost has been the unfortunate driver who's found out that not everyone has remembered that was an issue. So Mazda's going to get promoted now into 19th, which will be 18th. And Kobayashi goes, although Perez is right there. Having made his umpteenth pit stop. Perhaps there's another yellow flag. I said Stefan Beloff! Stefan Beloff has crashed. He's lost his front and rear wing. What's happened here? Has back markers got involved? Has he just made a mistake? No, it's Dan Gurney's off, and Beloff has crashed into the retired Dan Gurney. Yeah, so Gurney's engine's squeaky bum time has taken Gurney out of the race. Yeah, he's scraped off, his engine's blown up, he's done his best to park it somewhere. Yeah, there's not much you can do in that situation. Right, there we go. Oh, that doesn't help. And, oh, I hope Gurney still had his seatbelts on, because that is a scary thing to see. Beloff comes piling in. Bang, just clips the wheel. Beloff not paying attention. Gets some air. Got the helicopter shot, here we go. Bang, jumps up in the air. Thrown to the left. And what was going to be a thrilling battle for the lead has ended. With Beloff in the wall, the only good thing for Beloff is he's managed to get it going. Then Moss goes through and doesn't get involved in the crash. Villeneuve, team will be telling him, don't go anywhere near that car. Don't you dare do anything near that car. So Beloff is now crawling around without front or rear wing. He's not even being called into the pits yet. So Beloff probably going to have to crawl around for another lap. That's going to promote Moss back up into second. But absolute heartbreak for Beloff. And now, with Moss 13 seconds back and Hoy only needing to do a splash and dash on what is appeared to be quite a short pit lane, this could still be Chris Hoy's race. Short pit lane, short splash and dash. I don't even think Moss has got it in him to win this. I mean, Beloff is coming in this lap, he's still in second. Moss, that's how bad it had gone for Moss in that, since he got held up by Schumacher, is that Beloff has crashed, spun off, lost his front and rear wing, been forced to do another lap. And he still hasn't got, look, Beloff is coming back to the scene of the accident, and Moss still isn't through. He should get through here into Brewery. And I know he's lifted off, he's being respectful about it. I know he's going to try it. Oh, it's a brave but silly move there. Who's that? It's just pitted. It's Valentino Rossi's made his pit stop. So Rossi returns behind Watson. But he should make that move pretty soon. I don't think there's going to be any doubt behind that. Villeneuve's fourth place is now, well, it should be third once his teammate pitted. So, well, it's going to take a bit more squeaky bum time for Moss and Hoy for Rivera to get their win now, I think, unfortunately. This is probably writing on the wall. It's now Hoy versus Moss for the race win. As Villeneuve takes third place, there we go. Is Button going to get past Beloff? Yeah, he probably will do, because Beloff still hasn't got going. Felix da Costa will also get through. So now we watch back to see if Flörsch will get past Beloff. Into turn 1, Flörsch lifts. Beloff got in there first, so Beloff dropping to 6th place after that crash and extra pit stop. Heartbreak for the German, but he's still going, which is more than can be said for quite a few drivers now on this grid. Button now 1 place off the points, off the podium even, sorry, as Perez and Mansell now in the battle for 17th place are swapping positions down at the hairpin. Villeneuve's 21 seconds through, Moss is 13.7 off the lead, so yeah, Hoy's probably got to pit in the next 5 laps or so, I'd say. So he needs to put his foot down and try and get away from Moss. Moss has done a 17th, so Moss has just done his personal best lap. So Moss isn't giving this up. So he thinks he can win this. Mansell here going to scrap with Perez for the last, well, place, because it's not points yet. Schumacher's close and Senna's in the points in 15th. Hakkinen 14th, Prost 13th, Verstappen is right behind Brabham in 12th and 11th respectively. Watson has now been passed by Valentino Rossi, as I suspected. Heidfeld sat in 8th, watching the championship evaporate in front of him, although this isn't the race that's lost it for him. He's had plenty of hard luck in previous races. Canada, Road America, and definitely Japan are the ones that spring to mind as the ones that lost Heidfeld this championship. Because, to be honest, yeah, Inoue's retirement in Japan was the first time that Cash Racing retired from any race, and double DNF for them that they've got here is completely unprecedented. So, Cash Racing leave an open goal for Heidfeld to just chip into the goalkeeper, even though he's standing nowhere near it. Hoy's 13.3 second lead has stayed about similar, so Hoy and Moss are clearly doing very similar lap times. Both of them know that they need to be as far ahead of each other before this pit stop that Hoy's probably got to do a few laps from the end. Villeneuve 22 seconds behind, so he could be setting on for second place if the DGK pit stop isn't the best. Button 34 seconds back, he's only getting on the podium, a squeaky bum time gets in the way. I don't think Hoy's going to drop this far back, there's no way they're going to do that. Felix da Costa's not anywhere near catching Button. Beloff has dropped Flörsch, and Beloff could catch Felix da Costa 3.8 seconds. We'll check the lap times, but I think we go back to the front. So Hoy's done a 17.9 that lap in clear air. Moss with 2 back markers approaching has done a 26, so 3/10. What Moss has just found on that lap, so definitely quicker. He's got a gap below 13 seconds. But as stated, he's got to get past Bradman and Verstappen, who are battling for 11th place. That's going to hold Moss up. And Hoy's got completely clear air to John Watson, who's about 20 seconds ahead of him. It's more than the length of the Bradman straight. So, Chris Hoy, 12-second lead. Is he going to pit again? I'm sure he's got to pit again. But he being sure and it being definite are different things. I've done the maths. As Valentino Rossi pops up the fastest lap of the race. New tyres, low fuel. Yeah, go for it. Beloff now struggling to get past Schumacher. Schumacher, of course, made the race for him with Moss. Is now holding Beloff up like nobody's business and ruining his shot at getting past Felix da Costa. Flörsch is now turning up, and is Beloff going to have contact with Schumacher like his teammate usually does? Now it's Flörsch who gets bolted by Schumacher in the middle of the corner. That did not help. Hoy's lost his front wing. Chris Hoy's lost his front wing out of absolutely nowhere. He has. Yeah, as I said, Hoy needs another pit stop, but all he does because he's locked up on the way into the arena section. From wide, his front wing's gone. It's too. He's not thought to come into the pits. He's understeered wide and missed the corner. So Chris Hoy, all of a sudden, I saw that the gap is now 8 seconds. Has just given the race lead to Sterling Moss. He hasn't pitted yet, he's leading, but this isn't. That's not what Chris needed to do. He's won 2 races this season. He knows what he needs to do, but he hasn't done it. He's completely bottled it on his own. Sterling Moss has now got 6.5 seconds to catch up to Hoy, who's now struggling through all these high and medium speed corners. He'll get some decent pace down the straight, but yeah, no, that's not what you wanted. 5 seconds now is the gap. Moss didn't need to worry about the 2 back markers that he's got to lap because, well, he doesn't need to worry anymore. Hoy, with 6 laps to go, has stuffed it in the wall. And he's going to have to make a pit stop and throw away the lead that he was probably going to lose anyway. It was going to be a close run thing to see where he'd come out. Well, now we'll find out. And perhaps Button could get on the podium now. He's 23 seconds back and Hoy could be battling his teammate. For Sterling Moss, 6 laps to go, takes the lead of the race. He's not even done a quick lap. That's how much he knows he's got this in the bag. He's not even bothered to do a quick lap. We only have to take 2nd place. Hoy just gets going as Jenson Button rounds the final corner. So, can Button get past Hoy? Hoy exits the pits. Button up into 3rd place. Jenson Button's 3rd place, but Hoy has got new tyres. And not much longer to go in this race. Oh no, Hoy's definitely going to get past unless he does something completely stupid. Hoy has surely got back into that 3rd place. He'll make that move pretty soon. Sterling Moss now has really just got to sit behind Verstappen and Bradman and let them duke it out. And obviously he wants to get past, but 10-second lead. He doesn't need to worry. As they exit down the Jones hairpit and down the Jones straight. Hoy is going to do what he can to get past Button. So note, I will notice that there are 2 or 3 cars in the pit lane. Looks like it's Heidfeld and Rossi again, maybe. As Chris Hoy up the inside of Button into the hairpin, gets the move done. I'll just find back, see what's happening. Oh, Heidfeld's lost his front wing. So's Rossi. So there's been some contact. Which is why Heidfeld and Rossi have had to make an extra pit stop, and it's with. So Schumacher has been rammed into by Rossi. That's all because Heidfeld is creeping round, trying to get out of the way of Senna, because he's already lost his front wing somewhere. How has this happened? Does he bottle it like Hoy? No, he has hit Schumacher, so... Oh, Schumacher has just taken out Heidfeld and Rossi in the same lap. You can't make this stuff up. Verstappen finally lets Moss through and he then blocks Schumacher. Brabham is now miles ahead. Yeah, so Chris Hoy now into third, having made that stop and pulled an overtake on Jenson Button. Moss has got a comfortable lead with only a few laps to go. We'll have Hoy, Button. Version Watson's up to 8th in all of this. Rossi's still 9th despite having to make the extra pit stop with Heidfeld 10th. Verstappen is now a lap down. So Schumacher, despite having crashed into literally everyone in this race, same for Perez, is just outside the points. Yeah, Gurney 19th is the last remaining retiree. And 1 minute, 1 hour 40. But most of the guys who've done the upgrades mean that they're not in squeaky bum time now, but they haven't needed it around this street circuit. So Moss has got 4 laps to go once he crosses the line. 79, so still setting fast laps, but doesn't need to be doing much. Villeneuve is 9 and a bit seconds back. He's not got a chance really of making a move under normal circumstances. As Button has got back past Chris Hoy. This is going to be a move down into the hairpin, back in the slipstream. Button's through. And the back marker's turning up, especially with them being the Bangalores. Button's got the gap. It's 1.3 seconds now. 1.5 seconds, so Hoy's got his work cut out to get back on the podium. Felix Acosta happy in 5th, Beloff 6th place. Could have been the win. Oh, especially seeing what's happened to Chris Hoy, it really was going to be the win as somebody in 10th place is out the race. Is Nick Heidfeld's now retired. Heidfeld's engine's blown up, so High Tech, they're definitely surrendering 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship with this. Absolutely. Polestar got 1 driver in the points. Rivera got 2 drivers very high up. Siggy Pop, Red Knight, they're looking to win this. They could shoot up here. Harvey and DTK doing good, and there we go. Heidfeld's engine just blows up as he goes down the Brabham straight. As Prost has blown up as well at the same time. Prost has joined in the fun. Oh yeah, you can see the smoke out the back of that Falcon. He's seen Heidfeld pulled off in a cloud of smoke and thought, oh, I'll just join in then. 2 engines expiring together. Not what you're wanting to see. Mansell there getting out of the way of Felix da Costa quite aggressively. That puts Hackney is 12th, Rossi's 9th. As Beloff has lost his front wing now on the back of Nigel Mansell into the brewery corner, so that crash with Gurney has absolutely ruined it for him. Mansell's dawdling on the apex. What are you doing, man? Beloff's going to have to make another pit stop. At least he's remembered to put on the call to come in. Hoyer's had to battle past Perez. He's had 2 seconds off Button with not many laps to go. On a 2nd, but he's now got to navigate Schumacher. We've seen him trying to navigate these Bangalores is dangerous at every single attempt you do it. Villeneuve gets through fine with no damage. Moss is still in one piece. 3 laps to go. He's got to lap David Brabham. Villeneuve 2nd, Button, Hoy, Felix da Costa. Flörsch has overtaken Beloff now as Beloff's made his stop. Watson's still going. Brabham's going to need to pit for fuel soon. Hacken's going to pit for fuel. Ayrton Senna's now retired from the race with possible engine issues. I don't see any engine smoke, but it wasn't fuel, so something's just failed in the back of that. There's a double DNF Falcon then. As the Bangalores are going to find themselves in the points pretty soon here. Verstappen gets past the yellow flag of Senna. 3.5 seconds now, so Horner's lost so much pace recently. So it's been a mystery of nowhere near as much pace as he should have had. Chris Hoy this entire race. Sterling Moss 2 laps to go. Villeneuve sat 10 seconds back, just happy to accept second and take first if Moss gifts it to him. Otherwise Button is looking to get Harvey back on the podium for the first time since Donington Park. Button, he got on the podium at the first race in Brazil, but otherwise it's been Vettel has been the quicker driver towards the end of this season. But where's Vettel? He's not in this race anymore. Or he's being harassed by Sergio Perez in 17th place. Actually so far back in terms of laps, you might not even get to pass these guys. Flourish is getting light on fuel and might have to pit at the end of the last lap, which would be a disaster. Watson's up to 7th because Beloff's pit stop. Rossi's made his last touch. Bradman's coming in this lap and he's having to get out of the way of Sterling Moss, which he's not doing very lightly. Moss has to punt him out of the way. Staffin's into 11th. Hacken's going to have to pit this lap. Senna's Schumacher. Yeah, Mansell's about to get back up past Prost and everyone. Perez is going to get past Senna. Schumacher's up in 13th now. Hacken's going to stop. Brand makes his stop. Valentino Rossi's out the race now. And Siggy Pop's recent run of utter dire luck continues as with 2 laps to go. Rossi pulls over with another failure for the team, and you can't make this up. It's so galling. Yeah, as Villeneuve comes up to the yellow flag for Rossi, there's squeaky bum time at the end of this race as the race runs on even longer. It's taking people out. There's lots of struggles. There's chaos everywhere. And I think Villeneuve has blown up. Gilles Villeneuve on the last lap, half a lap to go. Even he's not immune. Villeneuve gets past Rossi through Flinders Street, and even Villeneuve is going to break down. So Gilles Villeneuve isn't going to make it across the line. So Jenson Button's going to inherit second place, but he's got no front wing because he's had to lap Michael Schumacher. I mean, I assume that's the reason he's got no front wing. And I'd be right. Okay, so Button on the last lap has got no front wing. He somehow inherits second. Chris Hoy now with a front wing is thinking, okay, can I now catch and pass Button? I've got 3 seconds to do it. No, he's gone wide and Hoy's out the race as well. Chris Hoy has run wide here. Has he just run wide or is his engine blown up or something? I'm not even sure at this point. Is this a mistake? Or is this failure? No, the car went into neutral. Hoy's retiring from the race on the last lap as well. Villeneuve's out. Flörsch needs to pit this lap, but somehow is going to get promoted into the points, I think. It looks to Costa's onto the podium now. He's the one chasing Button. But out the final corner, with all the chaos happening behind him, Sterling Moss takes his and Red Knight's first win. Out of, well, yeah, no, he's kept his head. Nobody else has. Sterling Moss, brilliant first win for Red Knight. Superbly deserved. Button, who was looking to let one of the DTKs through or try and defend him, actually now isn't going to happen, and Sterling Moss is going to cross the line to take second place without a front wing. And Antonio Felix da Costa inherits third place to get his first podium. Sophia Flörsch is going to pit, but I think she's far enough ahead. Actually, where is the start line? Where's the start line? Oh no, Flörsch is pitting before. Flörsch has stopped before the start line. John Watson here might sneak by and score 4th place. 2KF1, the home team, they're finishing on the lead lap. Not only that, Watson takes 4th on the line from Flörsch, who just exits the pits and loses the position. Flörsch down to 5th. Belov takes 6th place. Chris Hoy is going to get classified in 7th instead of Villeneuve. Verstappen is a lap down in 9th. Brabham 10th. Hackner takes 11th, so home points, more points for 2KF1. This end of the season is going really well for them. Rossi's going to take 12th. Schumacher, Perez, Mansell. That's the last finisher. And I think because Rossi, Hoy and Villeneuve have all finished or ended up retiring later, there are drivers still running who are behind them. They're going to get counted as being classified as finished in terms of sponsor prize money. So I will at least allow them to have that. But somehow the race in the last couple of laps ended up not what I was expecting, but luckily I didn't commentate as Sterling Moss takes his and Fred Knight's first ever win. I have no idea what that's done to the Constructors' Championship in back in second place, but it's done something. Felix da Costa somehow takes his first podium. And John Watson, 4th place for 2KF1. They were not expecting this. They were not expecting such a brilliant result for 2KF1, but that was going to easily launch them up ahead of Jaws and get ahead of Bad Rain, No Supporter, of course. They're currently 12th in the Constructors' Championship, even though they've only done 3 races, so 2KF1 should have vaulted up ahead of them with that result. Flörsch is going to do another lap. Jaws with only 1 pointer still behind Bad Rain and Bangalore. No, they've not scored enough. Well, Global Formula Automobilista delivers again. Action right up until the end, and you can't, not until they cross the finish line do you actually know where they're going to finish. I mean, obviously that's obvious, but order is not set when you start the last lap. So, if you survived this race, well done. If you enjoyed it, please smash a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. You know, I'm uploading these every week. I say every week. Next week is the last one of the season, then I've got a few weeks off before the next season begins. So yeah, stay following the thread, which is in RaceDepartment. If you want to join in, there's 1 round of the season left, and of course we'll be starting a new one soon. All the details about next season will be posted in the RaceDepartment thread pretty soon. You should see this week what we plan to do for season 3 is going to be good. So yes, I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you very much, and goodbye.